flag stand right now, too. Jared also running at Potomac last night for a 10th place finishing place as we get our first green flag in warm-ups of the season. Once again, Pure Stock drivers, you can make your way to the staging area. Pure Stocks, you can head to the staging area for your warm-up session. Well, checkered flag coming out on group number 1, and looks like we have a pair of 14s that are up there doing very well tonight. Brian Booz will be the top qualifier of the first group, or should say fastest driver out there, as we have yet to qualify tonight.
43, I need you to go to the scale, have your transponder check.
14C of Chuck Bowie, as we mentioned, off a fine second-place run last night. Once again, Pure Stocks, your warm-ups are next. Pure Stock drivers, you can make your way to the staging area. Your warm-ups will be next. Late model Sportsman drivers, please get ready. The crate late model 72 of Trevor Collins out of Seaford, Delaware, 20.6 seconds flat. He'll be in 2023. Late model Sportsmen, you are up next. Late model Sportsman drivers, we need you to the staging area. Late model Sportsmen to the staging area, please. Pure Stock warm-ups, 88 and it.
Yellow flag, stay high on the front stretch, stay high on the front stretch.
Check. Just a few moments as our simulate drivers getting the white flag right now. 65 at Dylan Wilson tops on the board. Number 1 at Deacon Schneider currently in second. As our final group of qualifiers, or I should say classes for warm-ups tonight, wrapping up here at Hagerstown as we get set for heat race action for the Crate Late Models coming up here in just a few moments. And when it's all said and done, 21 of Jason Stoner, the multi-time feature winner just a season ago out of... Well, race fans, we can't move forward without looking back, and we know it's been about a week and a half since the tragic loss of our Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, Maryland. We humbly welcome everybody back to a new season here at Hagerstown Speedway while we all embrace and celebrate the beginning of yet another new season of racing. Many of us here this evening are here with heavy hearts. To say the events of this past week were challenging with the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge on the outskirts of Baltimore is a tremendous understatement. Last week, 6 wonderful people were going about their daily business, working in the wee hours of the morning in their continuing efforts to make our bridge safe and secure for the thousands who travel it each day. The events of Tuesday morning forever changed those lives, as well as the lives of their family and friends, as these 6 individuals passed away. For decades, Hagerstown Speedway has truly been blessed and graced with a strong presence of racing fans, drivers, crew members, and many other contributors from the city of Baltimore and its surrounding counties. This devotion to the sport we love has helped nurture the success of this speedway, and for that, the staff of Hagerstown Speedway is truly grateful, and we're also grateful for your presence this evening. As Maryland Governor Westmore stated on several occasions, we are Maryland tough, and we are Baltimore strong. There is no doubt the shipping yards will reopen and the bridge will be built back better and stronger than ever, primarily due to the resiliency of the many agencies involved and clearly on the strength and faith of our beloved Baltimore natives and current residents. We're also truly grateful to the many first responders as well as so many other individuals and agencies who did a tremendous job in their quick efforts to further avert what could have been an even greater catastrophe. When the day comes when we can all once again travel across the Francis Scott Key Bridge, the journey will be accompanied by a lump in our throat and a tear in our eye. And while there are some emotions we just can't contain, there is one emotion we must have the strongest of faith in, which will hopefully provide us great closure. During that bridge journey, as we look down into the waters of the Patapsco River in great sorrow, we must switch our view to the sky above, where we will see the smiling faces of those we lost, looking down from heaven, telling us all, we will keep you safe in our travels on our bridge. Once again, race fans, thank you so much for being here tonight. And to our Baltimore area fans, a very special welcome. And again, thank you so much for all the support you've given Hagerstown Speedway over the years. We're all with you, and we will continue to rebuild and be strong together. Tonight, as we mentioned before the race,
drivers, we're going green this
19
time.
models were here last week, and we
Drivers
bumped
can
it up
go
6 more
anytime
tonight.
after the
As
stripe
they are
pole.
serious about gunning for
Anytime
this
after the
championship.
stripe
Pace
pole.
truck heads off midpoint down the back straightaway as we get set for the first group of drivers. 9 of Adam Souders with some issues. He comes out late. He was scheduled to go to the inside of row number 2. He'll be at the tail of the field as we get set for the first 6-lap qualifier of the year. Great late model, heat race number 2. Drivers, you can make your way to the staging area as they work off at turn number 4. Green flag in the air for the first of the season here at Hagerstown. Drag race off into turn number 1 and 2. Jared Edwards takes it low, then slides it up high, holds that lead over Megan Emery. Collins in the 72 now switches to the inside as he challenges Emery for the number 2 position. He works down to the guardrails at the bottom of turn number 3 and 4. He'll grab that second spot. Emery up into 3rd. Anderson in the 25. He started back in the 7th position, and he has already sliced up into the number 4 spot. Sweeney in the 40S also there likewise as we have one driver in trouble. That's a 77S of Elwood Sword. A right front flat tire for the Chambersburg, Pennsylvania driver, limping down the front straightaway and looks like he may be able to make it into the pits. We stay green with Edwards stretching that lead out. Sword takes the hard left-hand turn into the pit area. Edwards with about a 5-6 car advantage over Trevor Collins. Megan Emery still in 3rd. Anderson in the 25, as we mentioned, started in 7th position and now begins to challenge for that 3rd spot. They are a good quarter of a straightaway down, and here is the challenge for 3rd. It's going to be Anderson looking to the inside. For the moment, Emery's got it covered. 40S of Scott Sweeney right now still in 5th. He's got pressure from Trey Armo from behind, and the 48 of Steve Lowry is not far in the distance as well. Once in 2nd, Trevor Collins hasn't really been able to chop into that lead set by Jared Edwards as they come back to the stripe. 43 still with the lead over the Collins machine. The battle for 3rd continues good. Emery holding off Anderson. And now the 15 of Trey Armo. He has made his move up into the number 5 spot. Lowry trying to gain at least one more position after starting well back in the field. He's working on Scott Sweeney. White flag out for Jared Edwards this time. Edwards bobbles a little bit off that second turn. Collins chops a few car lengths off that deficit. Jared Edwards still comfortably back in turn number 3 and 4, looking for his first checkered flag in heat race action. The 43 of Jared Edwards coming away with the heat race win in crate late model heat competition number 1. 72 of Trevor Collins in 2nd. Megan Emery, Andy Anderson, and Trey Armo. They are the top 5 in race number 1. Well, starting first always helps,
Top
but you
4
got to
to the
hold
scales.
that lead as he battled and got the lead from Megan Emery and then had to fend off the
72,
outside.
Lead car, you can go anytime after the striped poles.
Pair of drivers that will lead us to our second green flag of the day here at Hagerstown. Green flag looking to be in the air as we come off at turn number 1. Dylan High, heavy pressure from behind by the 14D of Braden Dillinger. 3 wide as they go into turn number 1 and 2. Dillinger tries to make it 3 wide. He does. Pope backs off a little bit. Drag race down the back straightaway. Dillinger trying to grab the lead from High off turn number 3. Going to be Pope trying to rebound a little bit as High gets a little loose. Pope down to the bottom side of the 11P. He looks to get that number 2 position. And Will on the front straightaway. So High back and forth. Ciccarelli in the 49. He was in 4th. Here comes Tyler Horst as Ciccarelli slides up the banking in the 14 of Horst underneath and up into the number 4 position. Ciccarelli in 5th, followed by the 34C of Craig Perrell. They are a tight 2nd through 6th position as the 14 Braden Dillinger leads them back for lap number 2. Once in front, opening that advantage up pretty good for Dillinger. Again, crate late models for heat race number 3. You need to be in the staging area. Crate late models for heat race number 3 to the staging area, please. Field coming back for lap number 3, marking halfway in crate late model heat race number 2. And again, Braden Dillinger, the driver hailing out of Dawson, Pennsylvania, in cruise control mode. The 11P of Ed Pope right now holding on to that number 2 spot as DJ Groff has a right rear flat tire on the 68, and we've also got one driver spun
Caution,
high up in turn number 2.
Low in
Caution
turn
will be
2.
out here
Low
at the
in turn
halfway
2.
point. All right, as we get set to stack them back up, as we get the 1 to go indication that time by, Dillinger will be at the point. Again, the Delaware. Okay, the Delaware double file is done. We're just going with 2 wide racing on restarts here to kick things off for the 2024 season. All right, Dillinger made the good move from 3rd starting spot moments ago. Can now he come up to the gearbox and hold off Ed Pope? And quickly he does. Green flag back in the air. Pope back to 2nd again, and then it's a dogfight on for the number 3 spot. Ciccarelli way high. Peril down to the bottom side as he gets the 3rd spot. Tyler Horst in 4th, and now it's going to be the number 1 at Dylan High in the top 5. 2 to go this time by. And contact at the back end of the field.
Yellow, debris in turn 4. Debris in turn 4.
On Tyler Horst, they've been trying to move up, and right now they're in the 2nd row.
Green this
With
time.
Dylan High and Ray Ciccarelli rounding out the field. One more Crate Late Model Heat Race coming up in a few moments. And our green flag is back out, and once again, Braden Dillinger very quick on the restart. Grabs that lead again. Pope into 2nd. Ciccarelli again going high side and actually working to his advantage. He got around Dylan High, and now the 14 of Tyler Horst. And that puts him up into the number 4 position as he puts the pressure on the 34 of Craig Peril as they come back for the white flag. Dillinger in control. Final lap down the back straightaway. Braden Dillinger by his lonesome. Ed Pope comfortably in the number 2 spot. Peril in the 34, holding on to 3rd. Ciccarelli trying to make the high groove work. He's still in 4th. As they come off a turn number 4, it's going to be Braden Dillinger checking in for the first heat race win for him this year in Crate Late Model action. 11P of Ed Pope coming home in 2nd spot. 34 of Craig Peril 3rd. 49 of Ray Ciccarelli and the 14 of Tyler Horst.
14.
So we welcome Trayton here to Hagerstown as one of our newest drivers in Crate Late Model action as our 3rd and final qualifier gets set for the green flag off turn number 4. All right, field stacked up off of that 4th turn. Green flag in the air, the 3rd and final Crate Late Model qualifier. As the 23 of Woodward tries to grab the lead, Trayton Lee's got heavy pressure from Davin Kaiser on the high side. Down to the bottom side, the 14 of Cody Breeden also trying to make some hay. Lee will go into 2nd. Going to be Kaiser and Breeden side by side for the number 3 position. And now here comes Kaiser. And 2nd, 3rd, and 4th stacked up nose to tail. Now Kaiser, the crossover move on Breeden. He'll look to the inside and try to grab that 3rd position. Meanwhile, the B2 of Brian Boo starting back in 7th. He's plucked off a couple of spots, make it 3 as he's moved up now into the number 4 spot. And the 14C of Chuck Bowie trying to go with him down to the inside. He challenges Breeden for the number 5 position. Leaders back to the stripe for lap number 2. Going to be Woodward. Trayton Lee right there, only a car length back in the number 2 position. He takes a peek down to the bottom side in turn 1 and 2. The 11 of Davin Kaiser also right there. Boo slipped up a little bit, and that brings Bowie and Breeden almost right behind him. As a battle for the lead now ensues. Lee to the bottom side. Going to be Woodward still using the high side momentum as they take cross flags for halfway. Only a car length separation between your top 2 drivers. Kaiser all the while brings that number 11 right to the rear deck lid of Trayton Lee off that 2nd turn. Chuck Bowie also with some problems as the 33 of Jacob Witt able to get around him and now moves into the number 6 position. As the field comes back for the 2 to go indication, Branson Woodward to the 23, right now with about a 5 car length advantage. Trayton Lee, he was the attacker. Now he's had to go on a little bit of defense with Davin Kaiser putting some pressure on from behind. Right now, Trayton Lee with about a 3 car length advantage in 2nd. Brian Boo's 3rd, make it 4th. And the 14 of Cody Breeden rounding out the top 5. White flag in the air this time for Branson Woodward. Checkered flag about to go in the air. Branson Woodward comes away with his first heat race victory of the year. Good run for Trayton Lee. He'll wind up in second. David Kaiser, the 11K, holding on to third. The B2 of Brian Booz moves up a few spots for fourth. And the 14 of Cody Breeden will round out the top five.
And
Creighton Late Model Heat Race number 3.
23,
Virginia. Pure stocks are loaded once again. A lot of talent as we get set for the first 5-lap qualifier of the day. Pure Stocks for heat race number 2. You can make your way to the staging area. Pure Stocks heat race number 2 to the staging area, please. Well, while Blake Reed grabs a lead, Keith Reed quickly down to the inside and swipes about 2 or 3 drivers and tries to get to the number 2 spot. Does off turn number 2. And could be the leader before he gets back to the line as he is right on the back bumper of the Blake Reed machine. 78 of Evan Faust down to the bottom side. He's holding on to third. Dylan Beavers in the 62. He along with Billy Ecton Jr. side by side for fourth as Blake Reed leads lap number 1. Working the high groove is Reed. Keith Reed right behind him. Evan Faust also in the tire tracks. Now it's going to be the 57 of Billy Ecton Jr. up into fourth. 62 of Beavers right there in fifth. Yonkers, he's plucked off 3 spots in the 31. He's now up into the number 6 spot. Looked like Faust wanted to try to almost make it a 3-wide battle coming off of turn number 4. Had to back off a little bit. And now Keith Reed will be looking down to the inside. Blake Reed feeling the pressure high and low as he's got a pair right on the rear bumper off of turn number 2. Ecton in the 57. He'll move up into 4th position. Beavers now running 5th, and Yonkers still pedaling that car in the 6th position, but closing on that top 5. 2 to go. Back to the stripe in Pure Stock Heat Race number 1. Blake Reed still leading, but Keith Reed is right there. Faust in the 78. He'll drop it down lower. And we may have a little bit of a drag race on off of that second turn as Evan Faust trying to find some momentum down there. So 2 sets of 3-car battles for first and then back for fourth on back. And here goes Keith Reed down to the bottom side of the racetrack. White flag in the air this time by. Drag race as Keith Reed tries to win it back off into turn number 1 and 2. He'll go up the banking a little bit. Evan Faust can't quite get underneath of him, but he'll grab second. Blake Reed back to third. Going to be Billy Ecton Jr. in fourth. Beavers fifth. Yonker right there in the number 6 spot as they're coming to the checkered flag in heat race number 1. And looks to be Keith Reed off turn number 4. And caution, meanwhile, Lindenberg, or make it Bosley.
Turn 3, turn 2, stay high.
2, and that will bring the caution out. All right, field stacked up in turn 3 and 4. Double file as Keith Reed tries to get up through the gearbox. Evan Faust with a good jump as well. Back to the stripe. Faust has got the edge when they go into turn number 1 and 2. Reed is going to go high. Evan Faust low to middle. Faust for the moment, the 78, got the lead from that 3rd spot. Reed pedaling hard, coming right up to the rear bumper. Beavers goes to 3rd. Blake Reed in 4th. Yonker and Ecton side by side for the number 5 spot. Off turn 4, this is what we saw all last year. It's not over till the checkered flag, and Evan Faust from 3rd to 1st in a 1-lap shootout in the 78 machine. All right, field stacked up on the backstretch. 19 of Mike Fuller, 32 of Tyler Fisher, another driver that had some very good runs last year and was also a big candidate for a possible victory as we get set for the second and final 5-lap qualifier for our Pure Stocks. Green flag in the air. One car breaking down badly. That might be the 08 machine of Glenn Grimm. He had some issues during his warm-up session earlier. As Fuller grabs the lead down the back straightaway, Lindenberg in the 17L quickly up into second, Fisher to third, the 11 of Spielman on the first lap, right now holding on to that number 4 spot. Lindenberg, he was strong and got stronger as the season went on, and right now he's challenging the 19 of Fuller, but here comes Fisher in 32. He's not done yet. They are side by side at that number 2 spot. Fisher will reclaim the number 2 position. Lindenberg back into 3rd. Spielman 4th. And the 3 of Josh Ringer rounds out the early top 5. Fisher drops it down to the inside. A 4th, 3 wide as they come off of turn number 4 and back to the stripe. And they were dead even, but the edge to Lindenberg down to the bottom side. But by the time he gets to turn number 1, he is 3rd. Fisher way high. Lindenberg spins it off turn number 2. He'll gather it back up and looks like he's going to keep on going. He's limping, but now comes to a stop down to the inside guardrail. Off that second turn, and Fuller spins it. Meanwhile,
stay high coming out of 2. Stay high coming out of 2.
All right, lights are out. Field is stacked up. 2 laps complete of the 5 that make up our pure stock heat race. Once again, the 11A of James Spielman starting back in 8th position. Now he's at the point with the 3 of Josh Ringer, short gap West Virginia driver on the outside as we get set for the green flag. Spielman goes way wide, and Randy Lindenberg, who had those issues, has fought his way all the way up into 3rd by the time he got to turn number 1 and wants more. But again, more problems. There's another driver in trouble high up in the turn, the 12 of David Thompson. He made some contact with the wall and is limping off turn number 2 right now. Looks like he's going to gather it back in possibly as he continues to try and work around, but it looks like the caution will be back out.
Yellow, stay high coming out of 2.
Hit the wall pretty hard.
Still there. Late model Sportsman, heat race number 1 coming up in a few moments. 8 laps will be the distance for our 3 late model Sportsman qualifiers this afternoon. All right, green flag back out as they head off into turn number 1 and 2. Going to be Spielman at the point. Thompson down to the bottom side as he looks for that number 2 spot. Here comes Lindenberg. He split the difference. He's trying to get up in there as well. He's 3rd. Fuller is 4th. Ringer right now in the number 5 spot. Thompson down, hugging the guardrails off turn number 3 and 4. Lindenberg likewise trying to follow in his tracks as Thompson swings it wide. Lindenberg sees the door open up down bottom and works it back up into turn number 1 and 2, grabbing the 2nd spot away from Spielman. Now he wants the lead. Thompson will still have a little bit of high side momentum and hold on to that number 1 position. Lindenberg, Spielman, and Fuller, they are single file back in turn 3 and 4. White flag in the air. It's going to be a tough lap for Robert Thompson. He'll have Lindenberg right on that rear bumper as they headed back into 1 and 2 for the final time. Trying to hold off the efforts of that driver is Robert Thompson, a car length and a half advantage. Meanwhile, Fuller to the inside of Spielman for the number 3 position. The only other challenge spot on the racetrack. Drivers back at turn 3 and 4. Lindenberg down to the bottom side. Drag race is on. It's going to be Robert Thompson coming away with the heat race win in pure stock qualifier number 2. 17L of Randy Lindenberg, the 11A of James Spielman, the 19 of Mike Fuller, and the 3 of Josh Ringer will be your top 5 in the second and final pure stock qualifier.
Scales, 22, 7.
Late model Sportsman's for heat race number 2. You can make your way to the staging area. Late model Sportsman's heat race number 2 to the staging area, please.
87 after the stripe poles.
So we mentioned 9 different winners in late model Sportsman action last year. Devin Hart, the champion, took 3. Justin Weaver, Trent Brenneman, Levi Crowell, Barry Miller, Kyle Lear, Cody Kirshner, Derek Quaid, and Kyle Lee. A very impressive list of late model Sportsman winners as we get set for a new season of late model Sportsman competition. Green flag is out. It's going to be the 87 of Eric Irvin trying to grab that lead away from Palmer. Down to the inside comes the 22 of Steinhoff. He'll hold on to 3rd. And you got Ryan Zook in the 28, Bard and Miller side by side, back for the number 5 position as Bard goes way high. Going to be Irvin leading lap number 1. Palmer rebounding in 2nd spot, and now it's side by side between the 22 of Steinhoff and the 28 of Zook. 80 to Barry Miller watching on from the number 5 position as they get set for lap number 2 in our 8-lap late model Sportsman first qualifier of the afternoon. Irvin back to the stripe, the 87, followed by the 86 of Palmer. Zook gets that third position. Steinhoff in fourth. And Miller right now in fifth. No driver still searching for the right setup and the right groove going through the turns, as we can see some different lines being taken right now on this Hagerstown Speedway course. But right now, no problems for Eric Irvin as he works it back for lap number 3. Palmer still in control over that number 2 position likewise. Zook in third, going to be Steinhoff and Miller top 5. 15 of Matt Tarks is back in 6th position. 94 of Brandon Bard in 7th, and the top 8 made up by the 27. That is Lee Ziegler. Halfway on the board this time by. Palmer challenging for the number 1 spot. He's been chipping away. Got off to a little bit of a rugged start initially. Has rebounded nicely. He's working down to the bottom side of the Irvin machine, hugging that guardrail, and here comes Ryan Zook likewise. Drag race is on. Back to the stripe, and the edge is going to go to Scott Palmer that time by. He stays down to the bottom side of the track. Going to be the 87 of Irvin up top. Zook, Steinhoff, and Miller just watching on as the battle for the number 1 spot now goes to Palmer. 2 laps to go this time by. Irvin lost that number 1 spot, trying not to give up. It looks like Palmer's got the setup, and the 86 now begins to stretch that lead out a little bit. 28Z of Ryan Zook, still a very challenging third. Casey Steinhoff holding on to 4th, and the 88 of Barry Miller 5th. White flag in the air this time by. Second of 3 late model Sportsman qualifiers coming up in a few moments, and looks like problems for Eric Irvin. He just misjudged again off turn number 2, and that opened the door for Ryan Zook to make one last tip challenge. He's on the outside. The challenge for second. Palmer, the 86, coming away with the victory, and Ryan Zook powers around on the outside to take that number 2 spot. 87 of Eric Irvin will come home in second. Steinhoff at the 22 third. He'll make it 4th, and the 88 of Barry Miller rounding out the top 5.
Top 4 to the scales, 86, 28Z, 87, 22. The scales for your redraw.
So a good run for Scott Palmer, the Greencastle, Pennsylvania native in the 86, rebounding. Once again, good-looking field of late model Sportsman drivers on hand for the opener this afternoon. Glad you could join us here at Hagerstown Speedway. We know it's chilly conditions, but as we continue to look at the weather, we know it's going to get better with each passing week. We have to think it's going to get better. So 8 cars scheduled to go. They're all out there as we look for the green flag here in qualifier number 2. Green flag in the air, going to be Yoder and Walls side by side as they work it down into turn number 1 and 2. 44 of Shoemaker, sort of back in 5th position. He has already gained 1 spot away from Lemons at the 00, and trouble for Angie Groff down in turn number 1 and 2 as she'll spin it down to the bottom
Yellow
side of the racetrack.
Turn 1, stay high. Yellow flag turn 1, stay high. Clean restart, drivers.
Well, our caution going to stay out. 000 Walter Lemons wanted to see what was going on at the scales, so he parks it right up against the guardrail and takes a peek inside as we see if we can get him going in the right direction again. Yet to put 1 lap in the books. We will see what we can do this time by. Kenny Yoder and Gunnar Walls up front. Sean Shoemaker, Jonathan DeHaven, very good second row. Eric Cronise, Daniel Garrett, and the 68A of Angie Groff as we get set. 8 laps, once again the distance. As we mentioned, Sean Shoemaker very strong in warm-ups, and he transitions that into the lead, and he raced number 1 as he grabs that spot over the rest of the field. Kenny Yoder goes into second spot to Haven, the 13D to third. 85 at Gunnar Walls back and forth, but he's not done with DeHaven. They're side by side in the battle for that third position as Cronise and Garrett are side by side likewise to round out the top 5 with 1 lap complete. Shoemaker once again to the 44, starting back in that number 5 position. The driver to Mount Union, Pennsylvania, looking very strong early. Yoder now settling into second. DeHaven wins that battle. Walls shows some whiffs of smoke from the 85 machine moments ago. And we'll see what happens there as he comes off at turn number 4 and back to the stripe. Cronise wins the battle with Garrett, and that will put him up in the number 5 spot with Garrett in 6th.
3, stay high, stay high.
And trouble again, this time down at turn 3 and 4. Looks like the 68A of Angie Groft has challenges down there. All right, field stacked up, midpoint down the back straightaway. Shoemaker and Yoder will take us back to the green. Still 6 to go here in qualifier number 2 for our late model Sportsmen. Shoemaker up to the gearbox quick, and he'll grab that lead off into turn 2. Yoder trying to win the battle with DeHaven, and almost a bad moment down the back straightaway as Yoder got sideways. Contact with DeHaven, and then there was Gunnar Walls of the 85 right down to the bottom side. He was either going to be involved in it or he was going to take advantage of it, and for the moment he's got 1 extra spot. That moves him up into 3rd position. DeHaven on the high side in 4th, and they are attacking Yoder right now as they work off a turn number 2. It'll be Yoder comfortably right now in 2nd spot. DeHaven and Walls still fighting it out high side, low side for that number 3 position. And all the while, the 44, Sean Shoemaker, taking the cross flags for halfway, and he has checked out here in this 2nd qualifier. Yoder still running the high groove in turn number 1 and 2. He's got the 2nd spot. Walls down bottom in 3rd. DeHaven back to the high side, and Yoder's got problems down the back straightaway. He gathers it back up, but for the moment, almost like the car went out of gear or something. He loses 2 positions as Walls goes to 2nd, DeHaven 3rd, and now Yoder's trying to fight back and get one of those spots in the 3rd spot. Cronise to the 5.56 right now, rounding out the top 5. We'll be looking at 2 laps to go when they come back to the stripe, and Shoemaker with a turn lead as he comes back to the stripe. So Sean Shoemaker on cruise control. The Mount Union, Pennsylvania driver, the 85 at Gunnar Walls comfortably in 2nd. DeHaven, Yoder, and Cronise within a car length of each other, back in 3rd, 4th, and 5th as the white flag is out this time by. 81 at Daniel Garrett not far behind in that 6th position. Yoder and DeHaven still having their battle for 3rd as they cross the stripe. Shoemaker is already midpoint down the back straightaway and heading off into turn number 3 and 4. And the Mount Union, Pennsylvania flash, it's going to be Sean Shoemaker claiming the late model Sportsman heat race win. 85 at Gunnar Walls stuck to the bottom of that racetrack off of turn number 4, comfortably in 2nd spot. The battle for 3rd is going to be won by Jonathan DeHaven. Kenny Yoder winds up in 4th. Cronise and Garrett, they'll be the top 6.
Top 4 to the scales, 44.
All right, 49 to Ray Ciccarelli, your pole sitter, relegating himself to the back of the field. That will put the 151 of Kyle Lear up in the number 1 spot, he, along with the 2+2 of Cody Kirshner. 2 drivers, no stranger to Hagerstown Speedway wins. But Trevor Feathers in that 27, we're used to him in late model competition. We see him in late model Sportsmen tonight as the green flag in the air. Lear grabbing that lead, 22-star Ryan Sager. Good save, almost a second good save as a couple of drivers trying to see if they can score around him. It's going to be Feathers moving up into 2nd spot. Kyle Lear grabs the early lead. Kirshner back to 3rd. Bone break holding on to the number 4 spot. And here comes Feathers quickly. Right up behind the Lear machine with 1 lap complete. Lear running the middle groove as it's going to be Feathers down to the bottom side. And again, about a car length separation between the 2. 3 back to Kirshner, another 5 back to Bone break, and then the side-by-side battle between Sager and Dillman. Here comes Feathers back to the inside. Challenge for the lead as they come back to the stripe. The edge to Lear still here on lap number 2. Feathers is working Lear over pretty good. Kyle, a one-time feature winner at Hagerstown, the 2023 season of late model sportsman competition. With those very popular 151 colors back on that car. That beautiful 27 of Trevor Feathers. Kyle seeing plenty of him in the rearview mirror, so to speak, as he is right on that rear deck lid. Kirshner in the 2+2, comfortably in third. Bonebrake still in fourth. Sager's rebounded for fifth. Going to be Dillman back in sixth. Atherton seventh, and Ciccarelli rounding out the field in eighth as we put halfway on the board here in our third and final qualifier. A little bit of a break for the moment for Lear, but now it's Feathers looking around, searching, trying to find what will be the right groove in the turns. And once he comes off that second turn, he's right back up to the deck lid. Feathers goes top shelf. He tries to go to the outside and make the power move. And caution on the speedway, a spinner.
Stay high.
And that is going to be the 49 of Ray Ciccarelli, bringing the caution out in turn number 2. All right, field stacking up in 3 and 4, right at the halfway point. Lear and Feathers as they work off at turn number 4. Great jump by Kyle Lear on the restart, and Cody Kirshner likewise trying to rejoin that battle. Feathers, though, he's working the high side, trying to make that work for him. But Cody Lear found something on the restart, and here he is right on the deck lid of Lear. Bonebrake at the 37F right there in fourth, and Feathers working the high side, once again trying to reclaim that second spot, and will here on lap number 5. Trevor was trying to make that attack just before the caution came out, and here he goes down the back straightaway. Feathers to the outside. Going to be Lear down to the bottom. Drag races on in turn 3 and 4. Lear hugging the guardrail down bottom. Trevor Feathers to the high side. Trevor Feathers grabbing the lead off turn number 4. Now once in front, he'll try to see if he can sneak away. Kirshner is in third, Bonebrake in fourth, and Sager in the 22 star rounding out the top 5. Justin Dillman, Danny Atherton, and Ray Ciccarelli rounding out the field. White flag in the air for the Winchester driver, Trevor Feathers. All right, final lap down the back straightaway. Trevor Feathers once in front, opens up a 5-6 car length advantage down into 3 and 4. Kyle Lear comfortably in the number 2 spot, almost spins it off turn 4. Trevor Feathers grabs the victory. Lear holds on to second. Kirshner will be third. Bonebrake and Ryan Sager, they'll be the top 5 in the final late model sportsman qualifier of the afternoon.
Top 4 to the scales, 27F, 151, 2+.
And following our semi-late action, a brief intermission, and then we will get right into our featured activity. Crate late models, they will be number 1 in the feature order tonight. 25 laps will be the distance. But right now, we are set for some semi-late action. Jason Stoner and Jason Giesemann, they were responsible for a couple of victories last year at least. Right now, they are renewing their battle in 2024 as the green flag is out. Not a very good start, so we will slow him down, and Giesemann spins it in turn number 2. All right, field stacked up in turn 3 and 4. We look for a start number 2 off of that 4th turn. 3 wide. Stoner goes to the inside. Going to be the number 1 of Schneider, the beat in the sandwich. And the 9 to Jason Wilkins on the outside. But Stoner grabs that lead. Schneider trying to make that car handle, and he has given up some spots off at turn number 2. Wilkins goes into second. Steve Kent trying to get third. He, along with the 92 of Walter Crouch, side by side in the battle for the 3rd spot. Lap number 1. Give it to Stoner as he comes back to the stripe. Wilkins, Crouch, Kent, and the 97 of Trent Holmes. They are the early top 5. '81 of Jason Giesemann trying to gather himself back in, and as he is pretty much almost at the tail end of the field. All right, field stacking back up. 3 laps of our 5 complete in semi-late action heat race number 1. Make it 2 laps complete as we get set to go back to green. Stoner and Wilkins, and here comes the 1C of Steve Kent, Walter Crouch as well. Tight battle for second on back. 4 wide. Can we make it down the back straightaway? And now it's going to pull back a little bit. Something's got to give. Going to be the 9 of Wilkins to the high side. Kent and then Crouch. Giesemann, oh, trouble. Something happened on his car. He got the 97, and 2 other cars went airborne. 48 of Hughley was one of them, and the number 1 of Deacon Schneider. But all started when the 81 of Giesemann had some issues down low in turn number 4. We'll go with these remaining 6 in the last couple laps of semi-late heat race number 1. Stoner and Wilkins, Kent, they are the top 3 as we get set to get back to green. Giesemann back there as well. 92 Walter Crouch on the outside of row number 2. Green flag back in the air. They're hanging tough down to find the handle on that number that opens the door. Inside, Steve Kent stays with the number 2 spot right. Now the 81, his issues at the 81 machine as the white flag comes out. Giesemann, the point champion, pulls it off into the pits. 21 of Stoner right now in control. Wilkins in second. Crouch in third. The 1C of Steve Kent. That's all we got left here in the first qualifier for semi-lates. Checkered flag is in the air, and Stoner picking up where he left off last year, collecting another heat race victory. Wilkins little sideways off turn 4. He'll gather it back up for second. 92 of Walter Crouch and the 1C of Steve Kent. They will be your top 4 finishers. The Speedway. Again, the modifieds, the UMP mods will be back on hand to see if they can get their first points race of the 2024 season in the books. We will have a meet and greet with those modified drivers. So at the intermission period, as we get them lined up on the front straightaway, that will give you, the fan, the opportunity, if you're going to be with us next week, to stop on down, get photo opportunities, autographs, and have a chance to talk to your favorite UMP modified driver here at Hagerstown. In the meantime, semi-late action, our final qualifier of the day, about set to take the green flag is a 65 of Dylan Wilson, the one-time winner last year, grabs that lead down off into turn number 1 and 2. Sykes in the 99K. Oh, trouble for Wilson. Just couldn't quite get the handle on that car and everything he could do to keep it out of the wall. And he drops all the way back to the number 5 position. The S7 a great deal by virtue of that. Grabs a lead. Going to be Seitz and Neff side by side. In a very tight battle for the number 2 spot right on the heels of Deal. 7 of Rob Nichols right now in 4th. Going to be Deal taking the high side. Neff in the 03 down to the bottom. He'll grab the lead off turn number 2. Deal is right there likewise. Seitz a couple of car lengths back in 3rd. Nichols 4th. And Wilson trying to rebound back in 5th. Coming up on 2 laps to go, Brady Neff has got that lead in the 03 over Greg Deal. He's opening up that advantage as he takes the 2 to go indication. 99 of Seitz and the 7 of Nichols. They're tightly bunched together for 3rd and 4th. 65 of Wilson still rounding out the top 5. Battle for 3rd, a good one. Nichols to the inside of Seitz. He'll get that spot down to the entrance of turn number 3. White flag. Meanwhile, in the air for Brady Neff. In the 03, the Hagerstown, Maryland driver trying to score his first heat race victory of the year. The S7 a great deal. Comfortably in 2nd. Another number 7. That'll be Rob Nichols in 3rd. And the 99, Cody Seitz, right now rounding out the top 4. Field coming back for the checkered flag, and Brady Neff will be our final qualifying winner of the afternoon, taking the victory in the 03. Going to be Greg Deal in second, Rob Nichols, Cody Seitz, and one-time feature winner Dylan Wilson. They will make up the top 5. Dillinger will lead us from the front row.
Green flag next time. We've got 25 laps, deep breath. Can't win it on the first lap. Good luck.
Edwards, as we mentioned, a 10th place finish last night in crates at Potomac Speedway, comes to Hagerstown and immediately comes away with a heat race victory, and on that redraw gets that number 1 spot. We will see what he can do here as the 14 of Dillinger, very impressive run in his heat race, and the 23 of Branson Woodward likewise. Emery in the 55, very strong run in her heat race as we get set to go. 25 high-powered crate late models, 25 laps of distance, double points. It's the spring championship, and we kick off the feature season at Hagerstown Speedway. 4 wide, farther back in the field, as it's going to be Edwards grabbing that lead. Dillinger trying to chip away. They are 3 and 4 wide throughout the pack as they go through turn number 1 and 2. And going to be one car high up into the wall. Looks like that may be
yellow turn
51 is Stephen Powell.
Yellow turn 1, stay low.
So caution immediately out on the field.
Guys.
Stephen Powell high up in turn number 1 and 2. A little bit of damage to that left rear as he gathers it back in. All right, field stack back up as we get set for the restart off at turn number 4. And green flag back in the air here in our crate late model feature event. And Braden Dillinger kind of doing the crossover move. He guys to get underneath of Jared Edwards, but Edwards with a high side momentum grabs that lead. Dillinger in second, 23 of Woodward in third. Peril and Emery, they're side by side with Peril now getting the number 4 spot. Emery back in 5th, and they're stacked up behind her as Edwards comes back and leads lap number 1. Andy Anderson in the 25. He made strides in his heat race to move up through the order, and now he is making early business of some competitors in front of him. To the inside of Peril is the 25 of Anderson. They challenge for 4th. Side by side behind him going to be Brian Booz and Emery. Then David Kaiser. He's to the inside of Ed Pope. So a lot of 2x2 racing as Edwards leads him back for lap number 2. Anderson still. The battle starts in 4th position as the top 3 drivers somewhat comfortable in their positions right now, which is Edwards, Dillinger, and Woodward. Then it's going to be Anderson gaining that number 4 spot. 3 wide further back, going to be Trevor Collins to the inside of David Kaiser, who's to the inside of Ed Pope the 3rd. And that's just around the top 10 in tonight's action. That's 9th on the field as they come back to the stripe. Going to be Pope grabbing that position, Kaiser right behind him, and then Trevor Collins falling back in line. Edwards the leader by about 5 car lengths. Dillinger another 7 or 8 back to Woodward. Then the 25 of Andy Anderson pedaling hard, trying to catch the front of this field. Trouble in turn 2. Several drivers getting together.
High coming out of
caution
2. Stay
back
high
down on
coming
the
out of
speedway.
2.
At least 4 drivers at the very minimum. The 49 race. All right, field stacked up. 3 laps are complete. Edwards and Dillinger on the front row right now.
At the pole.
Going to be Woodward and Anderson making up row number 2. Peril and Booz back in row 3. Green flag back in the air. And again, 3 wide just outside that top 5. Down to the inside. There goes David Kaiser. He and Ed Pope ball up the 55 of Megan Emery. The 72 of Trevor Collins likewise makes a move around, and still 3 wide further back in the field. Meanwhile, up front, going to be Edwards the leader. Anderson has already gotten 1 more spot in the order. He got around the Woodward machine. Now he's to the outside Braden Dillinger looking for second spot. 2 by 2 and 3 wide racing throughout the field as Jared Edwards in the 43 continues to lead. Dillinger, Anderson side by side for second. Woodward third, make it fourth. And Brian Booz rounding out the top 5. Trevor Collins in the 72. He started back in the 10th position. He's still trying to make his way up through the field. Right now he's back in that 6th position. 7th on the track is Peril. David Kaiser 8th. Pope in 9th, and the 15 of Trey Armel is rounding out the top 10 as Edwards continues to lead a couple of kart lengths over Andy Anderson. And right now we've only got 5 of the 25 in the books. Field getting strung out as he come back for lap number 6. Going to be Edwards by a few car lengths over Anderson. A car length back to Dillinger. Booz is on the move. The B2 now up into 4th position. Going to be the 23 of Woodward now in 5th. And Collins of the 72 continues to mount the charge. He is caught up with the front 5 machines, or at least the 5th place car, Branson Woodward. And he is challenging inside the top 5 as Edwards brings him back for lap number 7. Anderson now beginning to do a little peekaboo as he works down the front straightaway back into turn number 1 and 2. Edwards sliding up enough, and Anderson has got the bottom side. Edwards trying to hold on to that high side momentum. Meanwhile, there's trouble on the front stretch. The number 1 is Sean High had some troubles. He gathers it back up and continues on. Leaders, meanwhile, come back for lap number 8. Anderson down low, Edwards up high.
Turn 2,
caution
stay
again
low.
on the Speedway.
Caution, turn
and
2,
looks
stay
to
low.
be the 14 of Cody Breeden once again, and that cools off a red-hot battle between Edwards and Anderson up towards the front of the field. All right, getting set for the restart. Edwards in the 43.
Time, guys.
He's got Anderson to the outside. Dillinger and Booz back in row number 2. Woodward and Trevor Collins, who's moving up to the field. They're in row 3. Peril and Kaiser in row 4. Pope and Armel now make up row number 5. Field stack it up in that 3-4 turn. Green is back out as Edwards tries to hold on to that number 1 spot. Leaders head off into turn number 1 and 2. Going to be Anderson working the high side very well. He'll climb the banking, but Anderson's going to grab the lead in the 25. Trouble again. This time going to be Trayton Lee. All right, caution lights back out. Obviously no change in the running order other than Trayton Lee and the 2T having to go to the back after his issue, but he is back with us. 8 of the 25 are complete. Edwards trying to see what he can do to hold on. Andy Anderson kind of had it figured out moments ago. He went top shelf and he got that number 1 spot. Edwards up to the gearbox quickly, and he pulls him down the front straightaway. But once he goes in that 1-2 turn, he can't hold it down to the bottom all the way to the top, and Anderson splits the difference between Dillinger and Edwards. And right now, Andy Anderson, your new leader, back in turn number 3 and 4. Edwards trying to hold on to second. Dillinger is going to get that position off turn number 4. Edwards fighting hard on the house side. Booz and Collins, they are the top 5. 23 of Branson Woodward, he has dropped back a little bit. David Kaiser is also moving the 11K up. He's up in the 6th position. Going to be Woodward back in 7th. Armel in 8th. Peril 9th. And the 14 of Tyler Horst rounding out the top 10. 10 laps of our 25 in the books this time, with Andy Anderson going by. The 11P of Ed Pope had problems. Off at turn 2, and Pope brings the 11 into the pit area. And problems for Jared Edwards as his handle on that car has just gone away. And again, a very, very sunny, windy day makes it some very dry, slick conditions for the drivers out there, and its tire choices there paramount. Andy Anderson figured it out. Dillinger, he's in 2nd. Booz 3rd. Collins 4th. And now David Kaiser moves himself up into the number 5 spot. Edwards, the pole sitter, back in 6th and almost spins it, holds it on, and Branson Woodward will also get around him that time by. Meanwhile, up front as we get set for halfway in this afternoon's 25-lap crate late model feature, Anderson back to the stripe. And he holds on to a very comfortable margin of about 5-6 car lengths over Dillinger. Booz in 3rd, Collins 4th, Kaiser 5th, Edwards 6th, Woodward in 7th, Trey Armel 8th, Craig Peril 9th, and the 14 of Tyler Horst in the top 10. 11th, the 48 of Steve Lowry, former crate champion, as halfway goes on the board this time by. Trevor Collins still working. He gets on the high side of Brian Booz off turn number 2, and that will put him up into 3rd position as the leaders make their way off turn number 4, and soon to be is lap traffic for Andy Anderson. He puts 14 on the board. He still has 11 circuits to go, and if we stay green flag racing the back end of the field, he is about to be greeted by the 25. He'll work to the inside of Ray Ciccarelli down the back straightaway, but plenty of breathing room over Braden Dillinger right now, and actually the lap machines he's encountering are all pretty much scattered out, so he's in good shape in that regard. He can make some good choices as he works it back in the 1-2 turn. 10 laps to go that time by. Still working some lap traffic to the bottom side. Anderson makes his way back to the stripe, and at this point of the game, hoping that no caution does come out as he now begins to continue to distance himself from the rest of the field. Underneath of the 51 of Stephen Powell down the back straightaway. Now he's got a little bit of breathing room before a big gaggle of cars is coming up. A 2-lap car's advantage over the 14 of Braden Dillinger. Lap 17 for Andy Anderson this time by. Anderson working off of turn number 2. Dillinger now beginning to work underneath some of that lap traffic. Anderson's already disposed of. 72 of Trevor Collins still holding 3rd. Brian Booz in 4th, and the 11 of David Kaiser right now the top 5. Edwards seems to have held up now and stabilized in the 43. Right now he's 6th on the field. Branson Woodward still 7th. Trey Armel 8th. Craig Perrell and the 14 of Tyler Horse, they make up the top 10. Anderson has a pack of traffic to clear, and Dillinger now has his sights on him. It's going to be about a good 3/4 turn lead for Andy Anderson with 6 laps to go this time by. Scott Sweeney and the number 1 of Dylan Hyde, they're side by side, and now it's Anderson. He'll go to the bottom side, get by those 2 drivers down the back straightaway. And the choices he's making and the timing on the track for him is working to perfection for the Bunker Hill, West Virginia driver as he works to the bottom side of the racetrack. 5 laps to go this time for the 25 of Andy Anderson. Top 3, 4, 5 very secure in their spots. Anderson, Dillinger, Trevor Collins, Brian Booz, and David Kaiser all in very good shape. Jared Edwards still a few car lengths over Branson Woodward back there in that 6th position. As Anderson continues to work some heavy lap traffic, Dillinger has just as much of a problem and trying to get around some of these cars. He's got Cody Breeden and Trayton Lee just in front, Chuck Bowie and Megan Emery, some other drivers to worry about as he continues to work the low side. Drivers are giving him some racing room, and he works midpoint down the back straightaway. 3 laps to go when they come back to the stripe. Anderson still working some heavy back markers. Gotten around Trayton Lee. Now begins to work the 14C of Chuck Bowie. Dillinger still working very hard to get around some lap cars and hoping that something will happen for him. But Andy Anderson pretty much knifing through the lap traffic. 2 to go this time by for the 25. Dillinger comes across the stripe. Trevor Collins likewise. He's encountered all that lap traffic. He's comfortably in 3rd. Brian Booz and David Kaiser remain the top 5. Anderson down the back straightaway. Once he gets around the Megan Emery machine, which he's working right now, he will have a lot of breathing room, and that might be all it takes for Andy Anderson to score the first Crate late model victory of the year. White flag in the air for the Bunker Hill, West Virginia driver. Started back in the 7th spot, and trouble over in turn number 4. It's not over. 2 drivers.
Yellow turn
Looks
3
like
and
some pretty
4
heavy
goes
damage.
through the
1
middle.
up high and 1 down low. Single file will be the restart. We're inside of 5 laps this afternoon. 14 of Braden Dillinger. We'll see what he can do to put the pressure on Andy Anderson.
Going green. 1 lap left.
All right, field knifing down into turn number 4. Anderson right up against that guardrail. Grabs a gear and goes, and Cody Breeden in the 14 spins it over in turn 4. trying to gather it back up, but he is limping down to that turn 4 area, right in the racing groove, and caution is back out on the
got
speedway.
A car in the middle of turn 4, car in the middle of turn 4. Drivers, we're going to green this time, green this time.
All right, green will come out as we get back to the stripe this time by. One lap shootout in tonight's Crate Late Model Feature event. Anderson, Dillinger, Collins, Booz, and Kaiser, the top 5. And green back out in the air as the field crosses under the flag. Andy Anderson takes him back off into turn number 1 and 2. He grabs about a 2-3 car length advantage over Dillinger. Another 2 back to Collins, 1 over Booz, and 2 back to Kaiser. Edwards trying to rebound and get back in the top 5 as they come back. Checkered flag in the air, and the first one of the season goes to Andy Anderson in our first Crate Late Model Points race of the season. Braden Dillinger coming up in second. Trevor Collins, Brian Booz, and David Kaiser. They will be your top 5 in tonight's Crate Late Model Feature event. $181 in our 50-50, but first off, there he is, folks, Andy Anderson, your Crate Late Model Feature winner. Well, Andy, I don't know if you remember me, but I think the last time you and I saw each other at a function, it was a Potomac Speedway banquet. I was emceeing. I had a black eye, but you took a championship. And once again, the second time I see you, the next time, you're back in victory lane. What a great performance that was for you this evening.
Yeah, I mean, they had me, this class, I mean, they had me thinking there right there for a little bit there. That y'all kept coming out, and I was like, man, they're not going to make it easy on me. And then I said anything could happen there in the last couple laps. I wasn't sure, you know, if I got a good enough restart or whatever, but I just wanted to run once or twice and just to try to get this thing right for him, my son, and we wasn't too good here at practice day, and then we had some issues, which that's why it's test and tune, and then I said, well, it rained out last week, and he's like, well, you don't get to race it this week, and I was like, yeah, it carries over to the next week.
You know, early, and I know you started the inside of row number 4, but it looked like a couple of those cautions early kind of helped you because it didn't take long for the field to kind of draw away and you had to work a little bit of cars around you. Cautions came out that tightened the field up and got you right up there with them. And then some heavy lap traffic. The early part of lap traffic wasn't bad because it was one car at a time, but then towards that very end, boy, you had a crop of them and you had to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, right there in the beginning there, I got lucky and got back a couple cars there, and then when I got on that 43, he was blowing fuel out as he went to turn. I kept getting in his fuel and shoving a little bit, and then I got into second, and I was like, well, I got to be in 1. And then he got a good restart, and then he left the outside lane enough for me to get roll bang, and then I got the lead. But yeah, coming up on the lap, I mean, I seen the flagman giving him a move over flag, but you know, we've all been there, so it's our job to race around them.
Very impressive start when the Crate Late Models were added to the points class for 2024. Last week, 19 cars showed up. Unfortunately, rained out. Tonight, 25. That was a pretty impressive start for a Crate Late Model points season here at Hagerstown.
Yeah, I told Walter last year, I said, you guys need to have more crate races. You know, we had 6, and then it rained out like 2 of them. And then I said, even if you can't work with Winchester, I said, these guys are going to pick this track. They're going to come here over Winchester. And, you know, pretty much they work with Winchester. And, you know, when Winchester's off on crates, they got crates here. I'm not a fan of the way they're doing this pill draw stuff, but this probably is my last race. So,
who would you like to thank, Andy?
I got to thank, well, hell, it's a number of them. I got to thank Ernie. They give us the car, everything. Said, you take it. It's yours. You got to get your own sponsors. Anthony's Pizza, of course, Eagle Race Engine, myself, Anderson Property Management. We got a new set of Fox shocks. We've always been on Tegras, and then we got a set of Fox shocks. So far, they're pretty good. And actually, I went out on a limb, got American Racers this week. Back when I was racing, they were a pretty good tire, and I never got the opportunity to run them. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try them, and then when he comes back, we can. If he wants to run Hoosiers, then we'll just run Hoosiers. So.
Well, great job tonight. You worked it perfectly, and you earned it. You won a lot of races. It never gets old. Andy Anderson, you picked a good time to win, and a great job tonight.
No, I mean, I thought, like I said, I knew I didn't have many more years left in the car. There's not really many rides out there. So, and then, you know, we were just fortunate enough Ernie give us this car when he sold out the other stuff, and you know, just try to race up on ourselves.
All right, Andy Anderson, your crate late model winner this afternoon here at Hagerstown Speedway. Fans, go ahead and get your 50. All right, pace truck about to head off into the infield area. Feature number 2 of 4 of the afternoon. Spielman, Robert Thompson. 11 of the 22. 57 of Bill Acton Jr. 62 of Dylan Beavers. Keith Reed, your defending champ. And Blake Reed, pair of almost identical 8s. Green flag in the air in pure stock feature. It'll be Spielman's number 11 trying to hold that lead, but here comes Beavers down to the bottom side. He'll grab the lead down the back straightaway. Some good jostling for position from third on back as Keith Reed looking to get to the inside. Spielman holds on to second. Bill Acton Jr. in the 57. Part of a 3-wide battle with Randy Lindenberg and Keith Reed, and now they go 2 by 2, and joining that battle will be the 22 of Robert Thompson on the outside back in 6th position. So Beavers is the leader, going to be the 11 of Spielman in 2nd, Lindenberg 3rd, Acton 4th, Keith Reed in 5th, and Robert Thompson right now the top 6. 78 of Evan Faust also trying to make some noise and works himself up into the number 7 spot. A lot of drivers going high on the racetrack, taking that higher groove. Beavers, Lindenberg, Spielman. Here comes Reed looking for a spot to the inside of Acton down the back straightaway. Evan Faust in the 78. Likewise, also trying to move up in the order. So right now Beavers with about a car length advantage. He's in the high line. Randy Lindenberg, middle groove of the racetrack. Reed, 10-15 car lengths back in 3rd. Faust in the 78. Started back in 10th spot. He's already up into the 4th position. Spielman back to 5th. Going to be Acton Jr. in the number 6 spot. Yonker in 7th. As they come back to the line, Lindenberg now challenging for the lead, and he'll grab it off turn number 4. One-time feature winner in 2024-23. Looking to score that early season victory. He gets around Beavers. He wants to check out because he knows Keith Reed's lying in the bushes somewhere. And right now he's in 3rd, but he's got his hands full with Evan Faust. Meanwhile, Acton Jr. and Spielman, they're side by side. That'll be for the number 5 spot. Yonker in the 31. He'll always find his way to the front. He's currently in 6th. It's going to be Mike Fuller back in 7th. Blake Reed holding on to 8th on the track as we have a caution. Looks to be the 17 of Jeff Bosley off turn number 4. To make up our double point championship race here today. Lindenberg and Beavers on the front row. Reed and Faust, Acton and Spielman, Yonker, Fuller, Blake Reed, William Crook. They are the top 10. Field looking for the green off turn number 4. Lindenberg trying to gather it up, and he'll beat the battle with Dylan Beavers back into turn number 1. It'll be Reed down to the bottom side. Evan Faust choosing to go up top, and he'll see if that high side momentum can work for him. And right now, Evan Faust is going to have a pretty good run, and then he gets shut down the back straightaway. Yonker in the 31. Here he comes. Starting back on the inside of row number 6, and right now he's up in the top 5 and looking for more as Lindenberg leads him back to the stripe for lap number 6. And Spielman in the number 11, the front row, has not had a good day. He, along with Robert Thompson, he joins him as casualties that have headed off into the infield area. Faust does get that number 3 spot away from Keith Reed, and now it's Yonker trying to win that battle down to the bottom side as Lindenberg still has about a 3-car length advantage over the 62 of Dylan Beavers. Evan Faust to the 78, third. Reed fourth. Yonker now in fifth. Ecton Jr. holding on to the number 6 spot. Mike Fuller in seventh. Blake Reed in eighth. William Crook ninth. Now the 32 of Tyler Fisher, top 10. Reed hits the wall. That's going to be Blake Reed over in turn number 1 and 2, and he'll lose a lot of momentum in spots. And the 8 of Keith Reed, that smoke is becoming a little bit more visible each and every time as he works his way through turn number 1 and 2. Just up in front of him, Evan Faust is trying to work on the 62 of Dylan Beavers. Can't quite make the pass on him for the moment. Beavers up in the high groove. It's going to be Faust down bottom. Reed still looking on back behind him, followed by the 31 of Yonker. 57 of Ecton Jr. not far off of the distance behind him, as well as the 19 of Fuller. Closing up on halfway in this afternoon's 20-lap pure stock feature. Going to be Lindenberg taking the cross flags for halfway. 10 in the books, 10 to go this afternoon as he has about a 10-15 car length advantage over the battle between Dylan Beavers and Evan Faust. And Evan Beavers still holds on to it. Faust, a lot of momentum and horsepower down the straightaways. Can't quite complete the pass as he challenges men the turns. The 8 of Keith Reed, we've seen some noticeable smoke from that car, but he's still holding strong in the number 4 position. 31 of Nathaniel Yonker riding his tire tracks in 5th. A little bit of a gap for the 57 of Ecton and the 19 of Fuller that are behind him in the 6th and 7th positions. 64, William Crook having a good run, holding on to 8th. Bill Ecton Sr. 9th, and the 32 of Tyler Fisher rounding out the top 10 as Lindenberg sets off on his final 10 laps of action here this afternoon, looking for his first early season victory. Caution off at turn number 2. Looks like
Yellow,
it could be the 17.
Turn 2, stay
Jeff
high.
Bosley for the second time this afternoon. Right now, he and Evan Faust have had a pretty good battle in that 78 machine. Keith Reed on the outside of the second row. Yonker and Ecton Jr. back in row 3. Fuller and William Crook in row number 4. Again, late model sportsmen, you will be next. Late model sportsman drivers, you can begin to make your way to the staging area for your feature event. Well, Randy Lindenberg tries to get up to the gearbox, but Evan Faust has a great restart, and the 78 charges down to the inside. Got around Reed and Beavers, and now is trying to get around Lindenberg. Side by side for the lead down the backstretch. Slight advantage to Lindenberg on the high side by about a half a car as they work back into turn number 3 and 4. Faust to the bottom. Lindenberg trying to pinch him down as best he can. It's working for him as Lindenberg reassumes that number 1 spot. Faust right behind him in second. Beavers third. Keith Reed and Bill Ecton Jr., they are the top 5. 57 of Ecton having a good run. He'd gotten around the 31 of Nathaniel Yonker. Yonker's fighting back on the inside. 19 of Mike Fuller, 64 of Crook, and the 32 of Fairplay, as well as the number 3 of Josh Ringer. They're the drivers rounding out the top 10. 14 laps will be complete this time by. No change in the top 3. The battle's on for 4th. Yonker got back around Ecton. Now he's trying to work on Reed, who still shows some horses down that back straightaway, and holds on to 4th, drops it down to the guardrail in turn 3 and 4. Yonker in his tire tracks now swings it wide and tries to see if he can get around him. Ecton and Fuller right behind him. Meanwhile, Lindenberg with about a 2 to 3 car length advantage over the 78 of Faust. 62 of Beavers still remains in 3rd. And Yonker again. This was a battle we saw up front a lot last year with Yonker and Reed, and now they're just challenging each other for the number 4 spot, as we'll put lap number 16 on the board for Lindenberg this time by. Faust keeping him honest, not letting him out of his way as he's still about 3 or 4 car lengths back. He's running a different group than Lindenberg is, but it seems to be working little by little As a 17 of Lindenberg starting to edge away. The Winchester, Virginia driver will make it back for lap 17, 3 to go. And trouble in turn number 2.
Turn 2,
Caution
high.
will be back out on the speedway for
Yellow.
David Thompson.
Turn 2, stay
in the
high.
12. And once again, the Pure Stocks will be back with us next Saturday night, along with the Classic Racing Series, Simulates, and again, the UMP Mods. They'll be here for our second race of the season. Hope you can join us for another Saturday night of racing here at the capital of dirt track racing. Beautiful evening. I know it's a little chilly out there, obviously, with that wind blowing, but some brilliant looking skies, and just glad to see some sunshine and not rain. And as we get down to the finish of tonight's Pure Stock main event. 78 of Faust. He needed it, and he got it right there on the restart as he gets around Lindenberg. Now he's got to hold it down, but caution is back out. Not a good start initially, so we will try him again. Points, a good way to kick off a season and get a little bit of a pad over the drivers behind you. Randy Lindenberg trying to do exactly that. As we mentioned, a one-time winner last year. 78 of Evan Faust looking for his first win. He didn't get one last year, nor did the 52 of Dylan Beavers. They're looking. Reed and Yonker, they got some. 57 of Ecton Jr. Very good season last year. And here we go, jumbling them up over in turn number 4. Well, Green is back out, and it's going to be Lindenberg with about a 3-car length advantage over Evan Faust. The battle is on for third as Keith Reed making a late race charge to the inside of Dylan Beavers. Going to be Yonker and also the 57 of Ecton Jr. They're side by side, further back in the field. 17 complete, 3 laps to go here in this afternoon's Pure Stock main event. And Beavers trying to re-win that battle as Ecton now has trouble. Tough break for the 57. And looks like he's going to pull up over in turn number 2. And caution will be back out on the track.
Same pace coming to the restart zone. Same pace.
All right, down to the final 3 circuits. Lindenberg leading them back to the stripe as they work down into turn number 3 and 4. Green flag back in the air. Lindenberg leads them off into 1 and 2. Faust in second. Keith Reed again renews that battle with Dylan Beavers for third spot. Yonker holding on to 4th. They'll make it 5th. It'll be Fuller back in 6th. Cook in 7th. Blake Reed in 8th. Tyler Fisher 9th. And the 67 of Bill Ecton Sr. rounding out the top 10. 2 laps to go this time by. Well, the 19 of Mike Fuller coming back to life, or some of them in front of him having some troubles, but the 19 is right there with the top 5 as Lindenberg holds about a 2-car length advantage in turn 3 and 4. He'll be looking at the white flag this time by. One last-ditch effort by Evan Faust in turn 1 and 2, and that did not go well for him. He lost several car lengths that time. He's in second. Beavers, Reed, and Yonker, they are the top 5. Checkered flag coming out this time by, and Randy Lindenberg parks it back in victory lane once a year ago, and he's already got that first one under his belt. 78 of Evan Faust, very good run for second spot. 62 of Dylan Beavers third. The 8 of Keith Reed and the 31 of Nathaniel Yonker end up in the top 5. Well, Well, as we mentioned a year ago, he scored a victory. And he said, let's get that one out of the way real quick. Randy Lindenberg collects his first checkered flag, equaling win total from one season ago already. His first victory of the season. So as he gets out of the car, folks, give it up for Randy Lindenberg, your feature here this afternoon. I don't know about backflips. Randy, you feel good enough to do backflips? What do you think?
I'm too old for that, but I tell you one thing, man, what a flawless race car today.
Well, you know, we talked about it for so many times. I only got to talk to you one time last year, but you already got that out of the way. But what does that say for you this year? I mean, there's one victory already in the books and double points. So that was a pretty good day, a pretty good way to start the season.
Yeah, man, that's a hell of a way to start the season. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, I have no front brakes. The brake thing broke, so all I had was rear brakes. But my brother-in-law that maintains the car, he said, we just leave it alone.
Let me ask you something. I mean, when we were talking to Andy in Victory Lane for the last race, it was cloudy. Second you guys got on the racetrack, the sun came out. How much of a hindrance is that going down that back straightaway? Does that bother you any at all, or is everything all right?
It does a little bit, but you try to just keep your mindset on the racetrack.
Well, you're too busy looking in the rearview mirror anyway. You're not looking out the windshield, right? You're trying to keep it behind you.
That's it, man. I tell you what, man, this is a competitive class over here. These guys, and they treat you with respect, man. I mean, like I said, man, you know, the 78er, you know, when that restart, he could have come up into me and drove me up in the wall and stuff. He didn't. He treated me, man, with respect, and that's what that's what I do to these guys. I treat them with respect, and, you know, I understand sometimes, you know, things happen, accidents happen, you know.
Well, you got stronger as the season progressed on, it seemed like, late last year, so we only knew it was a matter of time for you going to be in Victory Lane early. Who would you like to thank today?
First off, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Barnhouse Brewery, Coffee's Roofing, R&R Painting, ABC Supply, Puppy City, Square Circle, my own business, Lindenberg Roofing, Darren Pingley Trucking. I want to really thank that man right there. That's my brother-in-law. He does all the
7 of Yoder, you can
on
go
the
ahead
car,
and
man.
stop.
He got that thing hooked up today.
That
I mean, that
outside
thing's
road
hooked up,
is
and
up.
he takes care of it. And wouldn't be for him, I probably
87
wouldn't be
not
racing,
out there.
honestly. Because I mean, I don't know too much about setups and stuff. I just drive. And I also like to thank Jason Fanistock. Built the motor. He built a hell of a motor there. My brother-in-law, he just maintains it, and something breaks on it, he fixes it. I mean, man, it's just an awesome feeling to be standing here right now. And I'd like to dedicate this victory to my lifelong friend. 40 years. He passed away with cancer back in June, and he always was with me at the racetrack. And I just want to dedicate this race to him, and also a 9-year-old little boy who just lost his life to cancer, Deputy Charlie Marple, and James Wilson, man. Yeah, that's a hard one.
Randy, I know they appreciate that very much, and I'm sure they appreciate you thinking about them on a day in which you had a lot of success. So that's a great job. Congratulations.
Sir, thank you, and thank everybody. And like I said, I want to thank all my competitors. They're just a great group of guys to run against, man.
All right. Randy Lindenberg, your first Pure Stock winner of the 2024 season here at the Hagerstown Speedway. All right, the high-powered... All right, pace truck heading off into the infield area. We get set to do battle 25 laps coming up for the late model Sportsman driver who's double points on the line. 13D of Jonathan DeHaven, 151. Kyle Lear, a one-time winner a year ago. 86 of Scott Palmer, the 7 of Kenny Yoder. Sean Shoemaker, he's been strong all afternoon. 44 is there along with the 28Z of Ryan Zook. They're the front 4 rows. 25 laps, double points. Right behind them, don't forget the 27F of Trevor Feathers. Here we go, late model Sportsman action. It'll be DeHaven breaking loose off of turn number 2 with Lear right on that rear deck lid. Palmer into third. Shoemaker to the inside of Yoder already as he looks to get the number 4 spot. 3 wide for the moment as Palmer got stuck on the outside. It's going to be Shoemaker up into third. Yoder and Palmer side by side for 4th and Zook in 6th. Trevor Feathers back in the 7th spot as they work off a turn number 2. Palmer and Yoder, the only battle within that top 5, but right pretty much at the back of the top 10. Going to be 3 wide battle, and it's going to be Barry Miller down to the inside of Wesley Bonebreak. Well, Lear trying to work back to the inside, but it looks like we have an early caution on the Speedway. Problems for one driver already heading in. That is going to be the 68.
Yellow, debris coming out of 4 up high. Stay low, stay low.
Hey, don't forget about the Steel Block Clash, and the first of those is going to be coming up on Saturday, May the 4th, but actually next weekend in a effort between Potomac, Winchester, and Hagerstown. The Steel Block Clash will start at Potomac Speedway next Saturday night. Many of these drivers apparently will be on hand. 3 wide battle as they come to the stripe, and look at Shoemaker in the 44 to the inside of DeHaven. Lear almost loses it. Here comes Trevor Feathers. Everybody wants a piece of that number 1 spot in early. Going to be Lear the leader. He's out of shape down the back straightaway. DeHaven almost ran over him. Feathers goes top shelf, takes the lead off turn number 4. Trevor Feathers with a great move. Shoemaker falling back into second. Now DeHaven falling back to third, but a caution is back out on the Speedway.
Yellow flag, stay
laps complete with 25 that make up the Late Model Sportsman Spring Championship double point shootout. Trevor Feathers will lead him to the green. Shoemaker to his outside. Green flag is out. Feathers hugging that inside guardrail. And Shoemaker to the outside. Leaders head back off into turn number 1 and 2. Going to be Trevor Feathers holding the lead. Shoemaker sliding up the banking a little bit. 3 wide battle for the number 2 spot. Here comes a 28 of Ryan Zook in the 28Z as he works his way back into turn number 3 and 4 underneath of Shoemaker
turn
in the
44.
44.
Caution, turn 2.
And again, caution back on the Speedway. Back to green. No change, of course, up front. Feathers and Shoemaker. DeHaven, Palmer. Steinhoff and Zook. Look out for that 28Z. He also had a good run even before the caution came back out. He's ready to make his romp to the front. Bonebreak and Miller back there in row number 4. Yoder and Gunnar Walls. 3 complete as we go back to green. And this time, Sean Shoemaker a little bit better navigating through turn number 1 and 2 on that restart. He holds on to second spot. Palmer in the 86. He's having a good early run. He's to the outside of DeHaven. That's in the battle for third. Zook in the 28Z holding on to the number 4 position as Feathers leads him back to the stripe. Crossover move by Palmer on DeHaven down the front straightaway, and Scott Palmer put him up in the number 3 position. Zook now trying to take advantage of that. He wants to get to the inside of DeHaven, but right now holds on to 5th. Steinhoff in 6th. Bonebreak 7th. Going to be Kirshner back in 8th. Barry Miller in 9th. And Justin Dillman, the top 10 as they come back for lap number 5. Feathers trying to check out, and he did the damage early when he took advantage in a way great top shelf maneuver over 3 of the very good drivers in this region. And right now he's paying dividends for him. One of those is the 44 of Sean Shoemaker, who's trying to track him back down, but Trevor continues to just edge away little by little in the early going of this Late Model Sportsman main event. 86 of Palmer right now in 3rd position. Zook holding on to 4th. DeHaven 5th. Bonebreak is now making some moves. He's back in 6th position. Kirshner in 7th as Steinhoff fades a little bit back into the 8th spot. Well, the interval between 1st and 2nd continues to grow, about 2.3 seconds for Feathers over Shoemaker. Moments ago, Bone Break got around Jonathan DeHaven. That puts him up at the number 5 spot. Kirshner now looking to get around DeHaven for 6th as Feathers comes back for lap number 8. Well, again, a battle of tire management on this very, very windy and dry, slick day here at the Hagerstown Speedway, and Trevor Feathers and company have figured it out. The challenge for the moment's up for 3rd. Scott Palmer has it, but Ryan Zook wants it. 28Z having himself a good run. He's back in 4th position. Bone Break and Kirshner right behind them. And they are 5th and 6th right now. The Havens drop back to 7th. Going to be Steinhoff in 8th, Dillman in 9th, and Barry Miller in the 88 rounding out the top 10. And before we know it, it's going to be lap traffic coming up for Trevor Feathers, and that has already begun. The Lee Ziegler machine, the other 27 in the field, goes a lap in arrears here at lap number 10. And much like for Andy Anderson in his crate late model victory, when he began to hit lap traffic, he had a huge lead over 2nd place. Some of the cars he encountered towards the very beginning of that lap traffic surge were evenly spaced out as Brandon Bard's 94 way up against the wall, picking up some dirt, and that's where Feathers is, trying to get underneath of him and also put him a lap down and get him out of his sights as he works back at turn 3 and 4. 12 in the books when they come back to the stripe. Sean Shoemaker remaining in 2nd spot. Zook did take that 3rd position away from Palmer moments ago. And now Palmer falls back into the clutches of Wesley Bone Break. The 37F is on the inside. Here comes the 2+2 of Cody Kirshner. He's also trying to move up in the order. And trouble for one driver off turn 2. Caution is out. Are splashed in the sun as they work off a turn number 2. Feathers and Shoemaker. That front row has stayed that way for a while. Let's see what happens on this latest restart. Zook and Palmer back in row 2. Bone Break holding on to that 5th position. Kirshner in the 2+2. And on the restart, Zook is right there. It's going to be Trevor Feathers trying to hug that bottom, and then the car washes up the banking, but nobody else can do anything. A trouble behind him. 3 cars get together. 94, Brandon Bard, one of those involved. 27, Lee Seeger. All right, looks like we're going to try to get the green flag this time by as the 27 of Seeger now being towed into the pit area. Here we go, just about at the halfway point. Again, Trevor Feathers and Sean Shoemaker up on that front row as we get set for the second half of our late model Sportsman main event. Green is out. The top 2 peel away was almost 3 wide as he headed up into turn number 1 and 2. Now it goes 2x2 racing with Ryan Zook in the 28Z claiming that 3rd spot over the 86 of Palmer. Going to be Bone Break and also Cody Kirshner. DeHaven trying to come back a little bit. He's going to the high side, trying to see if he can regain some spots he lost earlier. As Feathers works him back to the stripe halfway. 13 to the books here in this evening's 25-lap main event. Shoemaker 5 car lengths back. He's got about the same amount of a gap back to Zook. Palmer and Kirshner, they are having a pretty good battle. Palmer holds on to 4th. Kirshner's been coming to life. He's back in 5th position. Jonathan DeHaven holding on to 6th. Wesley Bone Break down to the bottom side of the 13D. And right now he is in 7th. Going to be Barry Miller holding on to 8th, and the 9th position going to the 16 of Justin Dillman. Kenny Yoder, the number 7, rounds out the top 10. And on this restart, Trevor Feathers has just walked the dog and pulled away one more time. It'll be 10 laps to go when he comes back to the stripe this time. Top 5 pretty secure. Cody Kirshner just got around Scott Palmer, but those 5 are equally distanced amongst each other. DeHaven's got the battle. That's in 6th position. That's where Wesley Bone Break's been chipping away down to the bottom side. DeHaven up top. And behind them is the 16 of Justin Dillman. Not far behind, the 80 of Barry Miller. And then, as we mentioned, the 7 of Yoder. 19 of Danny Atherton just outside the top 10 likewise. Piece of debris flying here on the front straightaway just in front of the flag stand. And that's going to bring a caution out once more.
Caution, we got debris here on the front stretch by the flag stand.
out. If you haven't got one, they're available down at the window where you pay to get in. Of course, that's going to be 8 races from June 7th through June 16th. That was a biggie last year. Tyler Emery coming away with the championship on Appalachian Mountain Speed Week. And we look forward to the best in Super Late Model action back. But for the moment, Late Model Sportsmen, the very best, are making their way back to the stripe for the green flag. Feathers grabs a lead, but it is going to be Ryan Zook trying to take advantage of Sean Shoemaker. And here comes Bonebreak in the 37F shooting on the outside. He'll move it up into the number 4 spot. He plucked off Kirstner and Palmer and now goes up into 4th. So Wesley Bonebreak, he got the right tire combination, but again the caution comes out.
Flag this time, drivers. We're approaching our time limit of 30 minutes. Next caution, this is over.
All right, field about set to reload and go for it again. Feathers leads him off at turn number 4. Green flag back in the air. Shoemaker trying to keep it down to the bottom of the track. She'll drift a little bit. Here comes Bonebreak again to the inside of Kirshner. Right up beside Zook and right behind Sean Shoemaker. Wesley Bonebreak. And again, caution on the speedway. Another car just up the high side up against the wall at the entrance of turn number 1. And the drivers were warned the time limit has expired. And as a result, the checkered flag is coming down, and Trevor Feathers is going to claim the victory in the Late Model Sportsman main event here this evening. 44 of Sean Shoemaker will wind up in second, 28 of Ryan Zook, 2+2 of Cody Kirshner, and the 86 of Scott Palmer will be your top 5. A lot of cautions, a lot of debris, and just a long day for Late Model Sportsman drivers. Season. Folks, there he is, Trevor Feathers, your Late Model Sportsman feature winner. Well, you throw the curveball on us. You've seen you in Super Late Model action. You come down here and run a Late Model Sportsman, and my goodness, did that look impressive tonight.
I don't know. From where I was sitting, it was fun to drive. I hated that they cut it short. When I got out there in clean air, was catching line traffic and was changing my line and just enjoying the car. I'd have liked to have seen those last 9 laps. You never know. I could have broke something crazy could have happened, or them guys could have, found a line and drove by me. So I kind of hate that the race was cut short.
It was a crazy day. There was a lot of cautions for debris and obviously some spins here and there. But take me back in the early part, because that was the game winner. I mean, you had DeHaven, you had Lear, you had Shoemaker, all very good cars. And all of a sudden you decided, I'm going top shelf. And you kind of looked like you were searching for a line during your heat race earlier today, too. When it did work in one spot with Kyle, I think you tried another time, but it looked like you were always searching. But when you went top shelf down here, that was a great move on 3 very good drivers in this feature.
Well, I've always been told to, never settle, keep running hard, keep searching, and that's what I did in the heat race. Even when I was able to get by Kyle, I changed. It might have been minute changes, but I kept changing, trying to get better and better. The feature time, I smelled under the caution I smelled tire burning. And we went down the front stretch, and I saw Lear throwing dirt, and then they all go in the corner and follow him. And I was like, I ain't doing that. Same thing down the back stretch. They just kept following them, and they all went down there and stopped and just kind of left me a lane, and that's really where I wanted to be anyway.
Yeah. I know that we've seen, obviously, a lot in Super Late Model action. You were with Georgetown not too long ago. But what's the plan for Trevor Feathers this year? Are we going to see more of you in Late Model Sportsman action, or what's your schedule look like for this year for you?
We're just kind of running any and everywhere. Hagerstown has some big races. We'll be back over in the Sportsman for that. We'll also be here in the Super. This weekend we would have been sitting at home if we didn't build this car, so we're happy just to be here. We're happy that we won. This is probably the most gratifying win I've ever had. I mean, I've won bigger races, super races, more money, but we built this car in a week from the ground up. Me, Bubby Dillman, my dad, Pee Wee, Junior Ritter, Clark, Tony, we did it in a week, and that's pretty special.
That's impressive. Who would you like to thank? I know you mentioned a lot of those people right there, but who else would you like to thank?
I got to thank Alan and Craig. They've been putting up with us for like the last week and a half with this motor because it didn't fit. We had to do some different things to it. My Uncle Jimmy, he's here. My grandfather. George's Used Cars, new sponsor this year. Barnes Custom Painting, new sponsor. My Uncle Jimmy is McFarland's Custom Painting. I got to thank Shane McDowell, everything he does for us with this Team Zero race car. It's probably been a while since one of them won here. Caulfield Graphics, he always keeps us looking good. Rick Leggett, everything that he does for me. No questions asked, he's always there for me, and ANC Racing Engines.
Trevor, impressive run. Congratulations. Always fun to watch you race. So you made a fan out of me again today. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, Trevor Feathers, your late model sportsman winner. Kick off the season here at Hagerstown Speedway. All right, fans, here we go. The finale of the night, the 1C of Steve Kent, the 92 Walter Crouch. Two drivers that would love to start the season off here at Hagerstown with a victory. So we mentioned a pair of winners behind him, the 65 of Dylan Wilson, the 9 of Jason Wilkins, the S7 of Greg Deal back in row 3. And the 99K of Cody Seitz. That will make up the front 3 rows. And some more heavyweights behind him. Green flag, 20 laps, double points. Here we go. It'll be Kent heading off into turn number 1 and 2, grabbing that lead. Wilson to second. And here comes Stoner in that 21. Wilkins dropped back a little bit. Crouch of the 92's third. Stoner fourth. It's Wilkins to his outside. Challenging and trying to stay in that top 5 for the lead off turn number 4. Here they come down to the inside. It's Wilson. Credit Kent with that lap. First of 20 circuits this evening. And trouble on the front stretch early. The 25. Jeremy Mills spinning backwards into the inside guardrail. That will bring an early caution out. Will make their first appearance of the season on track. Simulates pure stocks in our classic racing series cars. We'll be back here at Hagerstown Speedway as we look for a restart. 1 lap complete. It'll be Dylan Wilson now grabbing that lead from the outside. A little bit of jumbled up behind him. Couple of drivers getting together and one coming to a complete stop over off of turn number 2.
Green time this time. Green this time.
All right, 2 laps complete tonight. 65 of Dylan Wilson grabbing that lead, trying to hold on to it as Stoner down underneath. Second spot, Steve Kent holding on to third. 92 of Crouch in fourth. 99 of Seitz in fifth. Wilkins back in the number 6 spot. Then Deal and Nichols side by side. And the 65, Dylan Wilson goes around, and also a tough break for Walter Crouch in the 92. He's got a right rear flat tire as we got 3 laps
Yellow
complete.
flag and 2, car in the middle.
Tough break for a couple that they had, still in the pit area. And unable to make it out for the moment. 8 cars still going with Stoner and Kent on the front row. Jason Wilkins and Seitz in the 99. All right, green flag back in the air. Stoner grabs a lead with Kent, the 1C in second spot. 99K of Corey Sites now grabbing third away from Jason Wilkins. Nichols, Deal, and Wilson, 3 very good, strong cars right there together. As Stoner brings it back to the stripe for lap number 4. Well, top 3 are single file to a degree. It's further on back where Rob Nichols trying to make some noise to the inside of Wilkins for that 4th position. 65 of Wilson, as well as the S7 of Greg Deal back behind him as they try to go a little 3-wide action from 3rd on back. And Sights almost got into the wall. He, along with Wilkins, made some contact on the front straightaway. Everybody straightens themselves out. Sights holds on to 3rd. Nichols threads the needle in between 2. He gets around Wilson and Wilkins. And we'll move up into the number 4 spot. Wilson trying to regain what he has lost earlier and tries the top 5 as Stoner just continues to pull away here at lap 6. So the shuffling continues on as Steve Kent holds on to 2nd. Nichols continues to try and march towards the front. And trouble for Nichols. He goes for a ride and collects that inside guardrail. The entrance to turn number 3 with some damage on that right front. Caution, back out. Championship event, spring championship for our semi-late competitors. Jason Stoner and Steve Kent on the front row. Corey Sites right up on the inside of row number 2 along with the number 9 of Jason Wilkins. Well, Stoner again edging away. Steve Kent holding on to 2nd, and then from 3rd on back, as has been the case so far. Good battle going on. Jason Wilkins trying to rebound on the high side. He's got the number 9 up into 3rd. Sights in the 99K holding on to 4th. And the top 5, 65 of Dylan Wilson. He, along with Greg Deal, having a good battle. Well, 8 laps complete. Jason Stoner continuing to stretch that advantage out. Steve Kent by his lonesome again in 2nd spot. The battle is for 3rd. Still Sights and Wilkins side by side. 65 of Wilson and the S7 of Deal. The 92 of Crouch 1 lap down as he had some issues earlier and now trying to rebound back. But Stoner brings him back to the stripe for lap number 9 as we close in on the halfway point. And again, a flat tire for the 92 Walter Crouch. And he has just got to be shaking his head wondering what in the world is going on as he heads off into the pit area. And that may be the end of his day as we put halfway on the board this time by. Stoner, the 21, back to take the cross flags. Going to be the 1C of Steve Kent in 2nd, the 9 of Jason Wilkins 3rd, the 99K of Corey Sights in 4th, the S7 of Greg Deal, and the 65 of Dylan Wilson. They're the drivers remaining on the track, along with the 25 of Jeremy Mills. Still a good battle for that 3rd position as Sights and Wilkins wage their battle. Sights to the bottom side, Wilkins up top. Steve Kent is still in 2nd. He's got a little bit of a gap. I mean, even though that battle's been going on for 3rd place, he hasn't been able to edge away from those 2 drivers. Stoner in the 21 has, as he puts lap number 13 on the board this time by. A little over 3 seconds of a gap for Stoner as he'll come up on the Jeremy Mills machine. And 14 will be complete when they come back to the stripe as our sun drops below the tree line, and we get set for a checkered flag coming up on the finale of our spring championship weekend here at the Speedway. And our congratulations out to Andy Anderson, Trevor Feathers, and Randy Lindenberg. It looks like Jason Stoner right now for the moment on his way to kicking off another run. Last year, 10 wins, including the Small Car Nationals here at the Speedway. And he is back to see if he can pick up that first one and get that win total started. 5 to go this time by. All right, lap 17 about to be complete as 3 laps are left to go in tonight's semi-late feature event. Stoner brings the 21 back to the stripe, about a quarter of a straightaway edge over Steve Kent. That battle between Wilkins and Seitz dissipated. Wilkins got the position, now puts the pressure on Kent, trying to get a runner-up finish, if not more, in the final couple laps. Wilkins gets a little bit of a run off of turn number 2. Kent's going to slam the door shut down the back straightaway. Oh, and Wilkins gets in the back of Kent, sends him for a ride. Didn't appreciate being cut off down the back straightaway, in his opinion, possibly, as they come back to the line. It looks like the caution may have to come out. 2 laps to go this time by. But Steve Kent in the... All right, 2 laps to go here in tonight's feature event. Let's see what transpires here in the end. Stoner, Wilkins, Seitz, Wilson, Deal, Kent, and Mills. Fuel back at 1 and 2 again. Stoner edges away. Dylan Wilson continuing to dig out of a hole as he looks to the inside of Seitz for the number 3 position. Wilkins up in front by a couple of car lengths in second spot. White flag going to be in the air this time by. Final lap, Stoner on cruise control. Wilkins, Seitz, Wilson, and Kent. They are the top 4 down, make it top 5 down the back straightaway. Final checkered flag of the night and his first victory of the season. Jason Stoner parks in the victory lane, taking the semi-late double points championship race. 9 of Jason Wilkins, a 99 of Corey Seitz, 65 of Dylan Wilson, and the 1C of Steve Kent make up the top 5. We'll have warm-ups at 5. But as you lead, put your hands together for Jason Stoner, picking up another semi-late feature event victory this season. Picking up right where you left off a year ago. Very strong performance once again. A lot of caution, so I'm sure that you probably had to say, what in the world is going on? It seemed like a caution-plagued day, but I think sometimes when you have a day like today, a lot of wind, a lot of sun, gets a little drop flick, there's a lot of things that are happening out there. Plus the first race for many in a new season. You just got to kind of get back in the groove, I guess, but you surely did.
Yeah, 2 to go, I figured there's a caution. That's just how that works with me whenever I'm out front. So, yeah, I mean, we did a lot of work over the winter. I mean, we talked and said everybody's getting faster, right? So we got to do something to make sure we keep our program up. So we did a lot of work.
Everybody sets goals for themselves each and every year. I'm sure you did too, and you kind of touched on that a little bit. 10 wins last year, including the Small Car Nationals Championship. How do you improve on that? What did y'all sit down and say, well, we did this, we did this, we did this. Where do we raise the bar? What do we do now? What's next for us?
Just do it better. That's all. Yep. So we talked over the winter and said, hey, you know, we just got to continue to work on the thing. You set idle and everybody else is getting faster. People's getting new cars. So we're just like, we just need to be consistent. Our whole purpose is just to be consistent.
Well, I know there was a couple of them out there, and one of them that was a gentleman that hounded you, and of course stayed so consistent. Jason didn't have a chance to run because of issues. We had a few other cars that weren't out there, but even though we had 14 cars and we only ended up with 4, maybe 5 or 6 left at the end of the race, this is still a very competitive class.
Yeah, we knew that, like I said, we heard that some people were getting different cars and that. And I mean, Jason's always got top-notch equipment. I mean, he's brand new, everything. I mean, it's just 1 week, right? So he'll get the bugs worked out and we're right there.
Jason, who would you like to thank?
I got to thank Barron's Race Engines. They actually came on board this year. We never had any horsepower under the hood with them, and he's done a really good job. Baker Carburetor, they really stepped up our program even this year. Hafer's Gunsmithing, Dumpsters, LAC Performance, BDR Performance, and I'm probably forgetting somebody, but JD's Fab Repair.
I think you'll have a chance to, if you miss somebody, I think I'm going to see you again, where you might catch them again. Well, sometime this year.
I certainly hope so. I mean, that's just what we do. I mean, it's a whole family deal. We don't, I wasn't able to be at home because of work this morning, and the whole crew got together and brought it here, so I just drove straight here from up north. So
that's what it's all about. I'm sure that meant a lot to you.
When you have a support group like that, that's what makes it fun every week.
Well, Jason, congratulations. You're kicking the season off on the right note. Victory number 1 of many, I'm sure.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, Jason Stoner, your semi-late winner in the Spring Championship. Double points tonight here at the Hagerstown Speedway. Again, we thank everybody for being a part of our program today. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget our Fan Appreciation Night next Saturday. Pit gates open at 2:30, grandstands at 3, and warm-ups at 5 o'clock. On behalf of Lisa Plessinger, Doug Timmons, and our entire crew, have yourself a wonderful evening and wonderful rest of the weekend. And please drive carefully on your way home.